Hey guys, it's Wahima, but just call me Wah. Melanated! Welcome to my recap of 90 Day Fiancé before the 90 days. Is that right? Welcome to my recap of 90 Day Fiancé before the 90 days, Season 5, Episode 15, Cold and Calculated. Episode 15. Why? Why is there so many episodes in this season? It is unprecedented. It is unprecedented, it is unnecessary, and it is unwanted. You guys, there is another episode next week. I mean, can I have my Sundays back, please? If you guys are new to my channel, my name is Wah, and I do recaps of relationship reality TV, such as Love at First Sight, 90 Day Fiancé, Married at First Sight, Love Off the Grid, 90 Day Fiancé, Love After Lockup. Girl, I'm just, Love is Blind sometimes. Hey, welcome. If you'd like to join the family, please go on ahead and subscribe. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and share on any social media that you deem fit. All right, let's get that thumbnail going. And might I just say, the writers of Bridgerton, bravo. The actors, the producers, the costumes. Come on now. I mean, ba-da-ba-ba-ba. First couple that we are going to talk about, Hamza and Memphis. So I don't have anything to say besides it was a lovely ceremony. I'm very happy for them. They're annoying to watch. Memphis is the worst. So in this episode, Hamza and Memphis get married. I'm happy for the both of them. They go on their honeymoon, they get pregnant, and that is the end. Here's the picture of that baby. It's all over the internet, so I just thought I would show it to you because, like, I mean, we've been talking about this baby now for 2 weeks. So there it is. Cutie tootie looking just like Memphis. Yeah, I mean, she didn't know what to expect with that wedding. I didn't know what to expect with that wedding. And I also felt like the wedding ledger, like the book, just needed to have the page turned, because I would be concerned if I were signing the notary and I was signing like outside of the lines, like it just like at the very bottom of that page. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's such a precarious place on the page, you know? So the next couple that we are going to talk about is Kimbali and Usman. Okay, so in this segment, Kimbali, she has just gotten the overture that she desired. She got the show of love from Usman, and she's feeling real good and satiated inside because she's waking up after having the yammy yammy. She is waking up feeling refreshed and judging this young, you know, whippersnapper for being on his phone the whole time. But she's like, yeah, it's just not a part of my thing. Maybe because I'm older, I just don't think to go on my phone immediately. You're just always on your phone. And I was like, gee, mom, thanks for that reminder. Kimbali, please don't act like this man's mother. It's unnecessary. Like, if he's a grown man, he's 30, whatever, he has a career. Most of his career is, you know, about social media and getting his name out there. Duh. He did this show again with a new older white lady. Like, girl, don't be calling him out on being on his phone the whole time. It's weird. So they're in the car on the way to the airport, and she's getting a little teary-eyed, and he has to reinsure her, and he gives her a hug, grabs on that boob one more time. When they get to the airport, producers ask him if there is going to be a public kiss goodbye, and he's like, but no, absolutely not, no. I mean, I'll do it for clout on TV so I can get these Spotify numbers up, but I'm not gonna do it in real life in front of my people. No, no, no. The whole United States knows that I have given you yummy yummy several times. I will not kiss you in public. I wish her the best though. Safe flight. She gets upset and he's like, Kimbali, you can't get upset when there are differences that we have. No, she's like, no, no. No, I just want to catch my flight. I just want to catch my flight. Because she wants the kiss. And when he's like immediately upset at her for being mad about the kiss, she then tries to back out of it, because I think she has to realize, like, this person doesn't want to kiss you in public, okay? And it's not just you. He's not going to kiss any woman in public unless he's married to her, period. And so she seemingly does, and she gets into the airport and she says that she doesn't know where their relationship stands. So like when they were in the car, she was fine, but because I guess the kiss, she now is like shaky and worried about it. But she feels like he is somebody who has given her exactly what she wanted, and she hasn't felt love like that in a very long time, and she truly feels that she deserves to feel love again, and I hope the absolute best for her. Let's see, who should we go with next? Now we got through the two that nobody cares about. All right, so the next couple that we are gonna talk about is Dino and Jasmine. Okay, so in this episode, we're coming off of the high of a really good proposal of a nice last day at the resorts. We're back in Panama City. Jasmine was living with a roommate, but it wasn't working out. And so now that they are affianced, Gino feels like he wants Jasmine to be happy and he wants to take care of her while she is waiting to come to the US to be his wife. So he has gotten her an apartment. And the apartment is $700 a month, which he reminds her is a lot of money for him because he's not working and he does not know if he is going to truly be able to afford it. And so he's just letting her know that there might be some months where she can't get 700 and she's only gonna get 400. And so, you know, her and her 3 jobs are gonna have to work it out and pay the difference. Because it's, you know, there's electric and there's, you know, Wi-Fi and there's a lot of things I'm not working. She just thinks that Gino is cheap and doesn't want to pay for her. I think that he has not been clear with how much money he actually has. He has a finite amount of money, but he says that he's worth about $650,000 and he owns his own condo and he lives in a place where, compared to California, is low overhead or like a low cost of living. But who am I to judge him? The fact is now I know this man has $650,000. I mean, he says he's worth it, so maybe he doesn't have it cash. But like, let's think about how much $700, like if he could just commit to her, 700 times 12 is $8,400. So I think out of $650,000, he could spare $8,400. In fact, what he should just do is say, I'm gonna give you this lump sum. You do with it whatever you will. I unfortunately won't be able to give you any more than this because I have to pay for the K-1 visa. I have to get a job. I have to secure our future. And so she's basically like, well, I know you can't find a job as an engineer, Gino, but you might want to consider getting a job in a restaurant as a server. And my first thought was, could you imagine Gino as a server? Hi, my name's Dino. I recommend the fish and chips. You want water? You want ice? No ice. I like no ice because it hurts my teeth. Yeah, I think room temperature water is nice. Okay. Wait, what did you order? And then she also tells him, you're gonna have to figure out, you know, your money as well, because when I get to the United States, I'm gonna redo that house and that's gonna be my house. I'm gonna be the queen of the house. And so you're gonna have to have money for renovations. And he's like, oh, that sounds expensive. That sounds like a lot of money. While she's taking a nap, Gino puts on closed-toe shoes for the first time, and we are all so grateful for those white shoes that he puts on when he goes to the pandaria to get some snacks that he shouldn't be eating, but he wants to talk to Uncle Daddy Marco. And so during this conversation with Uncle Daddy Marco lets us know that Gino is supposed to be telling Jasmine about a prenup because Gino's last marriage via the K-1 visa, when he divorced from his ex-wife, who he's been divorced from for 8 years now, as we find out later is an important fact, he had to give her a lump sum. He says that now he has his savings that he has from playing the stock market, but he doesn't want Jasmine to be able to take that if they get a divorce. I'm always so finicky with prenups when it comes to bringing somebody to the US. I understand why people do it. I feel like sometimes the Americans truly don't understand what they are asking a foreigner to do when they come to the US. The truth is I'm being sexist because I'm super okay with Memphis getting Hamza to sign a divorce paper, and it bothers me that Gino's about to ask Jasmine. I just think that he's gonna bring this woman with 2 children, one of them being special needs, to the US. You know what's funny? Why hasn't her kids come up in all of this? Why is she planning on marrying Gino when she doesn't even want Gino to meet her sons yet? It's so interesting that we keep having these conversations about her and Gino as though her sons do not exist or do not play a huge factor. And he wants her to have kids. Remember in the beginning, she was supposed to get pregnant right away? This is a lot of shady nonsense. So the fact is that if she does get pregnant right away, or if she does come over with those kids, like, this prenup needs to have some kind of stipulation in it where he's going to guarantee her a certain amount of money at the end of it. Because unless when they get divorced, she is completely independent and can live her own life, I don't think it's fair for Gino to say, I'm not going to financially support you in any way once we get a divorce. You brought this person to the US and now you're just gonna like let them go into the world. I get that you're unhappy, but also you should not marry someone you don't know. Jasmine kind of has Gino back in the corner and kind of with his back up against the wall, which is, I'm starting to feel like a place that she likes him to be, because he's so nervous to have this conversation with her about the prenup. He feels like it's the wrong time because of everything that's happened with the nude photos and him just getting her trust back and them just becoming engaged. And so when Uncle Daddy Marco is telling him what he needs to do, Gino is like, yeah, you're right. Thanks for bringing that up, Uncle Daddy Marco. That evening, Jasmine and Gino go out to Old Town, which is a place that's rocking tonight. They sit down to eat, and Jasmine, again, this is what I say. When I say that she likes to have this man's back up against the wall, that's where she feels the most comfortable. Like when he stands in his power and tells her to leave him alone and gets angry, she's like, I've never seen Gino like this before. I'm scared. When he's cowering in the corner, scared to say anything to her, she is just like in her pocket. Gino, looking back on those days, we have had such up and downs and I've wanted to cut you into little pieces. And he's like, yes. But you know, I found something else that just pissed me off. I was looking in the social media at your ex-wife. Can you tell me, Gino, how long have you been divorced from her? Because he's like, doesn't know where this is going, is confused as to what's happening, is like worried, and is like, again, that little like rodent in the corner that doesn't know what to say. And so he's like, 8 years. So it's been 8 years, and Gino, she still has your last name. I don't understand. Why does she still have your last name? And Gino's like, well, I mean, I can't do anything about that. I don't know why she kept my last name. And so then she says, well, then, Gino, I want you to call her and tell her to change her last name because that's my last name now. This man agrees to contact his ex-wife to get her to change her last name. Why did he agree to that, you guys? Does he not? He probably doesn't know this, but at least in the state of California, changing your name to your husband's name is a long, arduous process. So to have to go through that again to change it back just doesn't make any sense. And most people don't change their last name. We got Danielle Jabali over here with that last name of a man who said on national TV that her stank. Okay? I don't understand why Jasmine thinks that this is something within Gino's power to just do. Also, doesn't Jasmine want Gino to stay clear away from his ex-wife? So why would she demand that he contact his ex-wife and to demand that she change her name in order to get into an argument about it? Because like Gino's not going to pay for the changes. In order to get your last name changed, it's going to cost some money because if the government has to do anything, they're going to charge you for it. So like, I just don't get it. Why did he agree to that? Why didn't he say, Jasmine, it's unreasonable for you to ask me to do that. Now that I'm with you, I'm uncomfortable having conversations with my ex-wife. And if I were to contact her, she would want me to pay for it. And I don't want to give any of my money to her. I would like to give it all to you. Why can't he just finesse the situation in his direction? And in his confessionals, he's like, oh, it's ridiculous for her to ask this. Like, I don't know why she's even worrying about this. What does my ex-wife day to day with this last name have to do anything with Jasmine? But it's just Jasmine. Like, she just needs to like be crazy. It makes me mad that she even says it because I was just starting to be like, Jasmine, I'm sorry for this. I hate that you're in this, but they're both getting on my nerves. They're both ridiculous. Clearly uncomfortable, and she just sits back watching him squirm with this. All right, so the next couple that we are going to talk about is Jimena and Mike. Okay, because Mike has the absolute audacity, the gall, the nerve to come up in this woman's house and tell her what he is and ain't gonna do. So we pick up where we left last episode, where Mike is running through the streets of Colombia. Cameramen are chasing him. He's sitting down on the ground talking about he doesn't know what he did wrong and he doesn't understand why this is happening to him, and woo woo boo boo him. Mike feels like the last year was a waste of time and all based on money. Then he goes back to her and begs her to stay in her house, and she agrees. But she does offer to pay for his hotel, and he says no. They get back to the house and they have a conversation with the sister, who's kind of trying to mediate this situation, but Mike can't talk. And before he could even walk over to the sister to even tell her that he's tired and doesn't want to have this conversation, Jimena's on him about walking on the rug with his shoes on. And then he just goes upstairs and goes to bed. And she's just like, I'm tired of it. Like, I'm not dealing with it anymore. Jimena tells sister that she cannot get over Mike and the way he is, and that they just need to go back to surviving. I'm gonna go back to showing these titties, okay? So the next day, Mike comes wherever he is and tells her he's gonna start packing, right? And Mike does not leave till the following day. So he has a full day of awkwardness to be around Jimena's family, whom I suppose he feels is low-key his family as well. She says okay to him. She's making him some coffee. He goes and he starts packing. And because he's in the house, because she let him spend the night after he begged to, he says, well, perhaps she's gonna change her mind. Like, maybe we still have a chance. The fact that I'm staying here right now means that there might still be hope. And the delusion is just sprayed in the air like cologne. You know what I'm saying? It's just like Axe body spray. Delusion. He thinks that maybe she'll think about it and come to her senses. Come to her senses, because right now she's not in her right mind by not wanting to be with him. She comes over to him, gives him back the rings, right? Hands him a cup of coffee, also hands him the engagement ring and the wedding ring. And he says, why don't you keep them safe so you'll still have them when we work out our differences? And she's like, oh my God, ay Dios mío, not this again. Like, no, Mike. There's nothing to work about. The relationship is over. I do not want these rings. And then he says to her, do you realize that you are going to be losing the best thing that's ever happened to you? What? So let me tell you why this is the best conversation, because Jimena remains calm the entire time, okay? And she's like, oh no, the best thing that I ever had was my children, and they're fine. And he says, throughout this relationship, I was able to keep you secure in a house so you wouldn't be on the streets with you and your children. And she says, just because you paid my rent and helped me doesn't mean that I would have been on the streets hungry for food. I would have continued to be a model. So don't worry about it. And then he's like, oh, okay, well, what kind of modeling job? Is it that cam girl model? That's what you're gonna be? The adult job? Is that what you're gonna do? And she's like, well, what's wrong with that? That's where I met you. And he's like, well, shoulda, coulda, woulda. He says, start saying all these things like, oh, you could have been this, you should have been that. I would have brought you to the US. I would have taught you English. I would have did all of that. And then he says, why are you like this? And she says, I don't even want to go to the US. I'm fine here in Colombia. We can end this amicably. We can be friends or we could be enemies. It's all on you, okay? But at this time, it's over. He says, well, that just reinforces the fact that you were using me this entire time. And I said, how? How does that reinforce that fact? You got here with your stanky, hairy, sweaty booty, and she decided that she couldn't handle it. Now, was she wrong for continuously taking money from you? Absolutely. Absolutely. But you were just as complicit in this pay-for-play type of relationship as she was. So don't come over here in this woman's house trying to be the American savior, trying to be somebody who's coming over here to save the poor brown people of Colombia, taking care of everybody's family, taking care of the household so that you can feel at the end of the day that you have an axe to hold over anyone's head. I'm sorry. That is not how this goes. Either it came from your heart or it didn't. And it feels like the giving didn't come from your heart. It came from a place of desperation and wanting to solidify yourself in a way to garner love. And when the money didn't do it, then you're like, oh, you're using me. No, no, no. You gave up freely of that money. He tells her that she's cold and calculated. And she says, if that's what you think, then that's fine, but you gotta go. And he's like, no, I'm not leaving. I have proof that I pay the rent here, so I'm not leaving. And she's like, Mike, I'm tired of arguing this argument. You have to go, Mike. He's trying to manipulate the sister at some point, like sitting next to her, like all of a sudden going back into docile tones after he's already told Jimena that she's cold-hearted snake. Look into his eyes. Uh-oh, she's been telling lies. All I wanted was to say goodbye to the children. That's why I wanted to stay here tonight. That's all I wanted. And she's like, I don't need you to say bye to my kids. It's good. You're fine. They'll be fine. Don't worry. She's like, I'm tired of you. You gotta go. Okay. All you're doing is throwing things in my face. We're not having any kind of productive conversation. You can go. And he's like, well, I have work in the morning. I can't go to a hotel. He's like, I pay for the Wi-Fi here. Okay. I need this Wi-Fi to go to work. I can't leave. She's like, well, I don't care. Call in sick. And then her sister comes from wherever it is. She tells the sister he's not trying to leave. Then they get into another argument upstairs because he hears her say, this situation is stupid. So then he calls her stupid. Sister is trying to broker something. Mike starts to break down. Sister is just like, okay, you can come back. Just go to a hotel right now. You can come back tomorrow and say goodbye to the family. And he's like, and then here comes Juan. Girl, Juan is hugging his mama on the stairs. And this whole time I was like, damn, I thought the kids weren't even there. But how dare Mike come in with this American savior attitude and try to throw all this shit back in her face and then try to slut shame her for the work that she did that caused them to meet in the first place. How dare he? Absolutely not, bro. You don't get to then throw that back in her face as though it's some unvaluable type of job that you were saving her from. Next couple that we're going to talk about is Ben and Mahogany. Child, Mahogany is 22 years old. Cannot own up to anything that she has done. And I'm sick of her. Every time I see her face, I'm sick of her. I'm sick of her and her weird contacts. I'm sick of her and her choppy hair. I'm just sick of her. I'm also sick of Ben, but I'm sick of Mahogany. So we pick up with Ben wearing, just youth pastor uniform, right? The black pinstripe shirt and light jeans. I'm sure he was wearing black shoes as well. This is someone from who was wearing that outfit in the year 2000, okay? Fake text messages Mahogany that he wants to meet up with her at the place where they first had their full day together. And it's cringy, cringe. He apologizes for not coming to breakfast that day. And he also apologizes for not making her feel wanted. He's like, I'm really sorry about that. Let's start again. They walk to the edge of the pier. They have a kiss that I paused it so many times. I could not watch. She tells him that he's confusing to her. And I'm like, Mahogany, he's not confusing to you. You just don't want any of this. You don't want it. You don't want to be with a 52-year-old man. And you are unable to own up for your part of lying to him and creating this fantasy. You just really want him to feel like, bro, you should have known this was fake. Like, how dare you fall in love with someone 30 years younger than you who lives in a completely different country and you're trying to say that God brought us together? You are absolutely crazy. But she doesn't say that. She just makes out with him instead. He thinks it was totally hot. She is caught off guard and probably a little tingly. Who knows? I don't know how she feels. He's like, where do we go from here? And she's like, I go home. And he's like, oh, okay. He's all red in the face. Ugh. It was too much, okay? So then they meet the next day because they're driving to Lima. They get into the Uber to go to Lima. Again, they have one of those 3-hour drives where they don't talk to each other because they don't have anything in common. And it's like every time they go to talk to each other, it's about what do you think of these trees? Do you like these trees? What do you think of this beach? Is this beach prettier here or prettier in San Bartolo? What do you think that Jesus meant when he ate bread at the Last Supper? A lot of just random stuff because they don't have any baseline of real conversation. I can't believe this man wants to have a whole other family with her. It is beyond me. When he goes in to kiss her again, she's like, it's okay. It's okay. Thank you. We don't have to do that again. He's like, wow, that was hot. He says that the kiss was mind-blowing. The next day he feels like, okay, they turned a corner in their relationship. They're building trust again. But before he leaves, he has to ask her some really important questions. So they're in the car and he says, don't worry, I will see you again. And she literally looks out the window, doesn't look at him and go, okay. She looks out the window and she's just like, that's sweet. As much as she's loving this airtime, she also wants him to go back home so she could ghost him. That's why she never showed him exactly where she lives. Because if he tries to come back to Peru, he's not going to actually be able to find her. she isn't honest with him and he wants to have a good conversation. So they're actually driving on the freeway and she says, that's my school. And he goes, oh, why don't you live on campus? And she goes, that's a good question that I'm not gonna answer. He's like, let's be honest, okay? Because I wanna trust you. And she's like, you wanna trust me? Like, what is there not to trust? And he's like, well, first of all, the pictures you sent me were not you. And she's like, you know, the age difference, like you told me you were 24 and it turns out that you're 22. And she's like, no, I don't remember saying that. And he's like, well, I remember you saying it. I have it. I have it in text. You told me that you were 23. And that was very surprising for me to find out in front of your parents. And so she's like, you know what? I'm uncomfortable being here. So I'm gonna go. And she starts to put her jacket on. And so he stops talking because he's like, but wait, we're having a conversation. I just want to clear some stuff up. And she's like, no, go ahead. Continue talking. Continue talking. You can continue talking, but I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. And the only thing that we're left thinking is like, now that he actually wants some answers, she's too awkward to say, I'm sorry that I led you on and I lied to you. This isn't real for me. Now, if it is that she really does feel like he's crazy for thinking that anything that was said in the chat was real, then why doesn't she just say that? I'm glad we're never going to see her again. Truly, I am. All right, you guys, so that is the end of the episode. It was awkward, it was cringeworthy, but we got through it. Did you get through it? How are you feeling? Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought of this episode. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to share on any social media platform that you deem fit. And I cannot believe that we have another regular episode next week. I just can't believe it. Oh, you know what? I will say one thing. Who put this hat on this baby? Because I'm just like, you know, sometimes the older aunties and the grannies will get a hold of you when you're a child and too young to really understand what they're putting on you, and they'll just put something on you. Like this hat on this baby. Who put this hat on this child? She didn't need this hat. She didn't need to be on national United States television with this hat on. Also, who is this person? Who is this person that came to the wedding? This little old Sonic the Hedgehog looking man. Who is this? All right, you guys, have a fantastic week. Remember to be you, be true, and find your place. Bye. Is this a slay or nah? You could be honest.